Yo, 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 what's good, man? What's good, man? Y'all know,
Yo.
let me tell y'all what's going on here today. Let me tell y'all what is going on here today. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I've been waiting for this show for a long time. Been in around the Iowa hip hop scene for like almost 15 years now. So that's a little stake. I have a little stake. And the entire time I've been moving around here, I've seen this guy's name. I've seen his influence on the hip hop scene. And I'll even be honest with you, dog. I've seen it probably go more unnoticed here than it should. But if it's getting noticed everywhere else, what does it matter? So shout out to that.
I appreciate
because
that.
the love is there. People know who you are. But here in Des Moines, this guy has been influential in bringing so much hip hop to the city, man. So much hip hop to the city. We have a pioneer in the building. He's a hip hop aficionado. He's a content creator, podcaster, father, worker, husband, all of that. A rapper, beat maker, whatever. Call him all the things. He had to learn how to engineer. Oh, he's got to do all the things. We got Steve Wilson in the building.
What up, yo? It's your boy, that motherfucker Steve. I appreciate you having me, man. This is gonna be fun.
Absolutely. So let me ask you. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Let's do it.
What do the names Tech Nine, Jelly Roll, and Gary Owen mean to you?
They're all phenomenal, super talented people. You know what I mean? That are very entertaining and people that I've been fortunate enough to meet along the way in this journey called life.
Which is incredible, and we'll get into all that. But I'm assuming had an influence on you, kind of. And I just wanted people to know the type of level of conversation we were dealing with here. I tried to tell y'all, but now y'all know. So, are you a Des Moines native?
Nah, I've been out here. I always say 20 years, but I don't think that's quite accurate anymore because the time keeps ticking, and I just still keep saying 20 years.
Yes, sir.
I moved out here in 2002, so 23 years.
Got you. And so where did you? So I'm not trying to age you, but where'd you go to school?
So that's a tricky question. I grew up in Wyoming. Went to school in a couple different towns, and then I was kind of a knucklehead, and high school wasn't working out, and so I signed myself up for Job Corps and caught a flight to Colorado, and I graduated down in Colorado.
Okay. And what year was that? Just so we can set a timeline. So you graduated?
I'm 41 next week. I graduated. I graduated in 2002.
Got you. So yeah, so I would have graduated in 2000.
Okay. So, yes, we're about the same.
Yep. So when did your love for hip hop kind of develop?
So that's an easy one. I was at the homie's house, my dude Izzy House. Can't find this motherfucker anywhere on Facebook. I've looked everywhere.
Shout out.
Can't find his mom. Can't the dude's ghost. I don't know if he's in witness protection or what. I'm probably blowing up the spot right now, but I can't find this dude anywhere. But I did try and look him up. But he was an older kid. He was my homie, but he was my brother's age, and so they kicked it a little more than I did initially, and then he and I grew to be friends. But I was over at his crib, and his older brother Joe had a 2 Live Crew cassette tape, and I think it was as nasty as they want to be back then. And I was probably 10 or 11 years old.
Okay.
And so this was like 93, 94. And I was introduced to One. We were having some fun, and I heard this shit and was blown away. Like, who are these dudes that can say this shit? I've never heard somebody like these are all the words that I want to say that I can't say, and they're saying all these wild things, and you know what I mean. I was blown away, and so that was my very first introduction. And this was the same time that gangster rap was really coming on the scene. And so I was originally a 2 Live Crew dude and was all about it, and then kind of made that gravitation into Snoop Dogg and the West Coast mix of everything that the Chronic and whatnot was dropping, and Bill Bellamy's Jams Countdown. Dr. Dre and Ed Lover kind of serenaded the soundtrack.
Because I was going to say, the Chronic, I think, was 92, right?
That sounds right, yep.
Yeah. Early 90s hip-hop was crazy. That was when I was turned on to it, too. For me, at that time, it was Onyx.
Okay. Throw your guns in the air.
Back the Fuck Up came out in like 93.
Yep.
You know, and I kind of remember that being like, these guys.
Yeah.
You know, what they were talking about was crazy, you know? So you get influenced early, but that doesn't mean you're going to be in the culture. So you're listening to music, you know, going through your life, going through high school. Yeah. Did you start doing events? Were you a rap? Did you do some rapping? Were you around people who were rapping? How did you kind of get into the culture, for lack of a better word?
Wyoming had none of that. There was me, my homie Nuisance, and a handful of other dudes that were into hip hop that focused on that kind of shit. Everybody else was Metallica and
I did love
music.
Metallica too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I did in the 90s. I also loved Metallica.
But where I grew up at, you couldn't. I mean, it was one or the other. You know what I mean? And we're talking as I'm going into middle school and whatnot.
I'm kind of saying that as a 43-year-old man. I guess back then it probably felt like I didn't love Metallica, but my dad was listening to it. Like I was into it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, for sure. I definitely went hip hop for sure.
Yeah, but it was very clicky, I guess, where I grew up at. I don't know if everybody was like that, but it was very clicky. And so, there was the headbangers over here. There was very, very much like some dumb shit on at a high school or middle school or whatever. Yeah. And that was kind of what separated all the groups. In Wyoming, there was a heavy country music. And
probably wasn't a ton of rappers in Wyoming in the 90s.
No, and white rap wasn't a thing at this point.
No, because even in New York, when I was rapping in New York in the 90s, it was new. Yeah. It was very new. It was unique. I loved my experiences, but I know how unique they were. Yep. So even in New York at that time, which was obviously incredibly cultured, I can't imagine Wyoming.
Yeah. Yeah, we were deprived of culture. There was no culture.
But you fell in love with it.
Yep.
So then you graduate in a Job Corps in Colorado, you said.
Yep. So I guess my experience was even reinforced before that because my grandparents lived in Southern California and just south of
That makes sense. And you ever work with E40?
Yeah,
who knew? Who knew?
Got to do a little something.
Who knew?
Water.
Who knew? But anyway, back to
place,
SoCal.
Right time.
Good stuff. But yeah, so you spent some time in SoCal.
Yep. And I got introduced to that whole lifestyle, lowriders, the beach, swap meets, and so we did a lot of.
So some culture.
Yes. Yeah. The whole Chicano lifestyle and everything. Word. You know what I mean?
Well, cars and all that. All that's kind of part of hip hop, no matter where you go.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So.
But yeah, I grew up flipping through Lowrider magazine, listening to hip hop, soaking it up from every angle that I could. You know what I mean? Sneaking off with a can of spray paint, right underneath the bridge and shit.
So you tagged?
I did.
Okay, that's super cool. Cool. So did you ever do any pieces throughout? Because that's one thing I didn't know about.
Most of it was just fuck shit.
Having a good time though. But that's kind of what it was about. So yeah. But yeah, so okay, cool. So you did some tagging as well. And this was also in SoCal, right?
Wyoming.
Oh, so you was getting okay. You was creating some culture.
We brought it back.
You were creating some culture, though. Is what I mean. You were creating some culture. There wasn't a ton of tagging going on either.
Nope. It was very easy to.
That's sick.
It was very easy to figure out who had done it. It did not take them long.
That's funny. That's funny, man. That's super cool. Then, so you really were. So it's not like you moved somewhere and you were influenced to get into the culture. You kind of found it. Yeah. And then you sought it out. Okay. Got 100%. You. Got you.
And linked up with other like-minded people. It was
no matter where you were.
Yep.
From an early age.
100%.
Yep. Got you.
And then when we brought it back to Wyoming, it was very opposed. But you know what I mean? We kept pushing. You know what I mean? Love my mom to death. She really fucked up when she signed me up for that BMG 10 CDs for a penny club because all of a sudden all this music.
They don't know about that. I'm gonna take a second real quick just for y'all who don't really know this. You could spend like sometimes 10 cents. It was incredible. It was always under $1 and they would give you 10, 15 CDs that in the stores at the time could be 10, 15 and $20. You would owe $6,000 when it was done, but they just gave you all the music. It was incredible. It was a different time. Imagine, I guess you can just get the music now, but it was a different time, man. It was a different time. Shout out to, what was one of them?
Columbia House.
Shout out to.
And BMG.
Shout out to Columbia House and BMG, man. What a time to be alive.
Yep.
Okay, so then you really started finding some music.
Yeah, I mean, that was when the floodgates opened. Shit started pouring in, and so then I got a hold of, and these were cassettes. They moved on to CDs later. But these were cassettes back then. So I got the Fushnikins. I got Dr. Dre's The Chronic. Snoop Dogg, I had to go to Radio Shack because Snoop Dogg had not dropped yet. And so I got Snoop Dogg from Radio Shack and had to get somebody that was 18 to go in and get it because they were checking IDs for parental advisories back then. I don't think they do that anymore. I think anybody that walks in can buy whatever.
Yo, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. So, I mean, you had to cop the Snoop Dogg. So there was 2 joints you could get.
You ain't mentioned no East Coast rap. I ain't going to lie.
I don't know because the.
Man, shout out to New York. You know what I'm saying? Word up, son.
I was fucking with it big time, but I think the CD store hadn't opened yet. So we were copping. There was the VHS store, right? And so they had a small little section where you could
Y'all confusing these people.
Yeah. There was a small little section where you could cop CDs in this place called Star Video. And so we would go to Star Video to cop a CD, or you go to Radio Shack. Radio Shack closed out a handful of years later when they fizzled all that shit out. And so Star Video was the only joint. And then a CD store opened later right next to my parents' store. And so then that was when I got the Biggie Smalls Juicy maxi single. So that came on cassette.
Love that, yeah.
And they threw it to me for free.
It had Invincible on the other side.
Yep.
Man.
And so
rest in peace to Big, man.
R.I.P.
Yeah, no. So, but almost every album you've said so far, I also was in tune with, which is interesting because you've said all of them, because we didn't get everything from everywhere else.
Yeah.
We got the biggest of the big from everywhere else. So, but no, yeah, I'm with you. So you just taking in the music.
100%.
Taking in the music. Actually, CD stores and just mixtape time was incredible, man. You mentioned CD stores. I remember probably like, I don't know, maybe X97, DJ Clue mixtapes, all these Tony Touch, all these mixtapes were humongous.
Hell yeah.
And in New York, there would be mixtape stores on every corner, yo. And they would come out on Friday. I say this all the time, and I'm going to always say this as long as y'all see me ever doing any sort of content with anybody. The 90s was such a time for hip hop. It's like, and when anybody can also relate to that, I'm gonna reinforce that because it just was, man.
Yeah.
And there's amazing things happening today, and there's been 50 happened after that, 1 million things happened after that, you know. But man, just before the internet, really, not to sound like too much of an old head, you sat with an album.
Yeah.
Tripp would say this: you would sit with it, and I miss that.
Yep.
I really do miss that because we're talking about albums, stuff like that, you know.
I had one of them Sony Walkmans, and I would walk to school with it and play that Bone Thugs and Harmony Creeping on a Come Up cassette over and over again.
Bro.
Get to take it out and flip it over.
Steve, I walked to school with I don't know if you remember, everybody had that one Sony radio that took 6 D batteries, and it was the loudest one, man. It was the loudest one you could have if you had it, and I carried it to school 7 in the morning, bruh. Blaring hip-hop, walking to school. In like a smaller town in New York, to be fair, you know what I'm saying? People hated it, yo. Yeah. And I was just blaring hip-hop to school every day. I'll never forget, yo, we put a car battery and in a backpack, and we got like a set of 12s that we put on a skateboard, and we put a car radio in a cooler. We pushed it to the park one day. Man, hip hop, man.
Yeah.
Hip hop, amazing. So that's another reason why I respect you so much and really wanted to make sure the intro kind of got the point across. You definitely have some hip hop like just in you. You can tell. It's a vibe. It's a vibe, yo. And that's fire. I love that. So the music is, I love the music. What's the next step forward kind of into the hip hop culture? You're also doing some spray painting, tagging. Did you do some DJing? Did you ever do any of that?
Not at that point. I have tables now, but at that point, I had never
rapping at this point at all. Even having fun, freestyling.
Yep. Yeah, there was tons of that, and I was a cocky little motherfucker, and would just say the most outrageous, obnoxious shit in rhyme form that would have got a motherfucker canceled these days.
These days it's a different time, but. These days it's a different time for sure. But old lyrics, like Biggie said, old stuff that comes up now that would be like, why would you say that? But like Biggie's like a legend, right? And all these people, you know, so. Yeah. I'm with you, though. It was a different time.
Yep. And so we would just walk around.
And you can have the same like crazy bars that you could use in every school and neighborhood you went to because it wasn't on the internet. You know, if you had a couple killer like punchlines, you could use them everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Without a doubt.
Good times.
It was new ears, new face. This was brand new.
Yeah. When we get to rapping on the show, sometimes I have some verses in my head. I'll rap it to get people going, but then I'm starting to realize like, oh, I did that one 2 or 3 times. But it's not because I think like, oh, you have to hear this. Like I'm just trying to get everybody going. Yeah. And if I have one and it sounds good, that'll get people going. But I realized the internet, if there was ever any success, they will take that and be like, oh, listen to you just doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, I'm just trying to get people going.
Right.
But I came from a time where if you had this insane verse, you might get a reputation off of that.
Hell yeah.
Because everybody would hear only that one and be like, yo, you heard that dude?
I mean, that's how motherfuckers broke a single on the Bill Bellamy Jams Countdown or whatever. You know what I mean? You paid mad money, and you got a video up on MTV, and that might have been the one you paid for, and hopefully they went and checked out the rest of the album.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that too, because you have experience in that side as well, as far as just how to create a hip hop brand and how to try to, you know, put out projects and artists and work with people and things like that. So at some point you had to make the transition from, you know, knucklehead tagger to maybe there's a role for me in this hip hop shit.
So I continued to chase it. Now at this point, I'm down in Colorado doing the Job Corps thing, and we would just sit out on the porch and smoke Black and Milds. And now I'm just with a bunch of dudes. This is early 2000, and I'm just with a bunch of dudes, and we're rapping and hanging out on the porch.
Y2K had just happened.
Yeah, and dudes from everywhere, you know what I mean? From all over Colorado, California, all different backgrounds, you know what I mean?
Most people probably know this, but just a quick synopsis of what is Job Corps?
So most of the people in there were people that had went the wrong way or were fucking up a little bit. Some of it was court mandated. Some of it was by choice. Some of it was their parents told them, "Hey, this is your last opportunity. You got to go in here." And you would try out multiple different jobs, trades, and you got a little taste of everything. But you lived on a campus, and you did 1 week of school, 1 week of trade, and you would figure out what kind of job you were going into, and it was all government funded. And the idea was when you graduated, you would come out with a skilled trade. You would get into the workforce, and the government would make their money back off of your taxes once you earned an income. You know what I mean? And so it was all free.
And I'm guessing, like most things, some people got a positive experience from it. Some people didn't. 100%. But it could give you some structure and maybe some purpose.
Yeah.
At that point. So okay. So I just kind of wanted to set the tone for the type of people.
Yeah.
The type of guys that you're getting around. So
yeah.
You're getting around some guys that also love hip hop.
For sure. Shout out to the homie Sean Gurton in Grand Junction. Yeah, I mean, we were young dudes, you know what I mean? There was all sorts of dumb shit going on. And my homie Drastic. So me and my homie Drastic ended up coming out here and living with me down the road. And
word.
And so, yeah, you know what I mean? We formed lifelong friendships, you know what I mean? But
hip hop will do that to you.
It will. But yeah, we were young dudes doing dumb shit still, you know what I mean? But we're finding our way, you know what I mean? If you got to beef with somebody, you go to the laundry room, there was one way in, one way out, and you go bodies. And,
sure.
You know what I mean? Still doing some fuck shit, you know what I mean? They had dumb shit called sleigh rides where all the beds were like wooden bed frames that were built into the ground with just a mattress on top. And if a motherfucker was sleeping, you give them a sleigh ride, you pull the mattress off of the fucking bed frame, they just drop to the ground.
Jeez. Still got to be on your toes.
100%. There was 8 dudes to a room. You know what I mean? And just dudes just doing dumb shit. But I learned a lot. I made a lot of friends, and I graduated in 2001. I was there just for a short amount of time. And I graduated with a degree in business technology and computer IT. And I got
out to that.
Appreciate it. I got my GED and my high school diploma.
Very dope.
Their idea was get your GED first, and then if you fuck up and get kicked out, at least you leave with something. And so the first thing they do was they have you do some testing and whatnot. And I was a junior when I went in there, and so I already had school wasn't really an issue. It was following the rules and
for sure
and abiding by people telling you what to do.
For sure.
And so I swam against the current on that. But yeah, so I graduate from there, and
2001.
Yep. And I moved back to Wyoming and didn't really. At that point, I was kind of dead in the water. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do now. I got these skills, and you know what I mean. I'm 18, 19 years old, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And my grandparents, who grew up out here, said my great aunt lived out here. Why don't you go out to Iowa, and you can crash on her couch until you get on your feet, and kind of figure it out from there. And I was supposed to have a job doing some computer networking stuff so that kind of was the reason they also sent me out here.
Gotcha.
I had an in with a family member that was supposed to hook me up doing some computer networking, and it never ended up panning out. I went out and filled out the job application, never heard anything back, and so I ended up getting a job at Chi-Chi's on the south side. I had waited tables and bus tables and shit when I was a kid, and so I had those skills I could fall back on.
For sure.
And so I ended up getting in on that, and memory lane here.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I met a bunch of cool people, made friends here on the south side at Southridge Mall.
That's the point, man. It's been an epic journey.
Yeah. And so at this point, I had never. I mean, Billings, Montana was the closest big city, and that was only 100,000 people, 150,000 people back then, and so I had never had access to live music. There was one situation where I bought some tickets. I got a debit card when I was like 16. I bought some tickets to go see Cash Money Millionaires down in Denver. My grandparents were like, well, you're not going by yourself. You know what I mean? That's what I was living with at that point. And Denver was the closest big city that had some hip hop, you know what I mean? And so I told my grandparents I was spending the night at the homie's house. He told his parents he was spending the night at my house. We jumped in my very first car was this 96 Plymouth Grand Voyager van. We jumped in this van and drove to Denver. And we went and seen the Cash Money Millionaires, Lil Wayne, Turk, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Vanny Fresh, Birdman, all of them. The whole crowd got pepper sprayed and maced at the end because it turned into like this crazy fucking riot. And it got wild. But I'd never had access to any of that. And so when I came to Des Moines, I was trying to soak up every single concert I could get into, every aspect of hip hop, be it the Vaudeville Muse, be it Omaha, Minneapolis.
Word.
And so I was just chasing it and trying to be involved with anything that I could possibly be involved with. Kansas City, in anything hip hop related, I found this to be the Mecca because I had access to all of these different places within my reach, and I'd never had access to any of that. I couldn't go to a concert. I couldn't, it wasn't within my means. It wasn't anywhere near me. And so now all of a sudden I'm producing some income. Well, it wasn't much, but it was enough to get by, you know what I mean? And flip my aunt a little bit of money for letting me crash on her couch. But I had money. I could go to concerts and all of a sudden this whole new world that I had always dreamed of and kind of chased after, but never been in touch with and never got to actually fully soak up an experience except for a little taste of it one time. You know what I mean?
And this is the early 2000s, 2002,
exactly.
3, 4.
Yep.
So you spend a few years just kind of soaking it up, going to concerts, just seeing live music.
Yeah.
And at some point what's the next step? Is it putting together shows? Kind of, is it interviews? Kind of, you were early. So you were early with content, for lack of a better word, as well.
Yeah. So I got a hold of a Sony Handycam. I bought one from Best Buy and was just doing gritty, no production.
So maybe when would this have been? 5?
Oh, way before that. As soon as I got out here.
Really?
Yeah, as soon as I got out here.
That's what I'm saying.
They were
early.
DVC tapes.
Yeah, no, yeah.
They weren't digital even
You were incredibly early. I kind of knew that. That's awesome. That's incredible. Oh, my bad.
I thought that was me.
No, that's me.
Yeah, take it.
We'll be all right.
Oh,
yeah.
So
got the camera.
So this was a Sony Handycam recording on DVC tapes. They weren't even. I mean, it was digital, but it was digital tape. And so I was going and trying to record shows and film shows. I still got a stack of them. I got Mike Epps doing performances. I got Dave Chappelle doing performances. I got Aeon Gray performing. Mac
That's
Miller,
amazing.
That's
incredible.
Kaiser rocking the Vaudeville Muse.
Legends. You just naming legends, man.
Yeah. And I was just walking around filming everything that I could. The very first time I got to jump on the mic, me and my little brother Cap, shout out my little brother Cap, I got an opportunity to rock a show Horizon was putting on at the Vaudeville Muse.
Yeah, shout out to him too, man. He's been doing it forever too, man.
Yeah.
I hope you get him out here for sure.
And so I jumped on a event at the Muse with Kaiser, RIP to the Muse.
And we had some legendary battle rap events at the Muse for sure.
That was a Des Moines staple for a long time. But yeah, that was my very first taste. And then I got into doing shows at the Muse. I created a company called DM Entertainment. I had a little bit of money. We started throwing small shows and just booking stuff at the Muse and even trying to get into Java Joe's and doing some stuff in there when it was still around. And kind of make that happen. And, just, they weren't super successful in the beginning, you know what I mean? Trying to figure out how to promote. It was all go to Kinko's, print out some flyers, try and
disc makers.
Yeah.
People don't remember disc makers, man.
Nah.
Getting the burner that could do 10 CDs or whatever at once.
All the different
you know
drives.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
And so I was, you know what I mean, trying to navigate some of that. And figure out how it all worked. And I was, again, still 18, 19 years old.
Man, you were so early on the thinking about a camera and just shooting stuff in the hip hop sense. You were early, man.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's science. You know what I'm saying? Because even I remember a camera would come around sometimes during that time. Every once your parents have somebody had one, and you would do cool stuff. You'd be like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But not everybody had the foresight to be like, man, this is cool. Let's document this, or I care about what this moment looks like. Now everyone thinks they can do it, obviously.
Yeah.
But back then you had to have a vision to carry a camera around. So I'm just saying we saw them, the Kanye documentary or a lot of the amazing documentaries you see of people who were carrying cameras forever, So yeah, that's pretty dope for sure.
Well, and then in that same time, Smack DVD and some of those things started coming on the scene.
Cocaine, fucking Cowboys, the French Montana stuff.
Yeah, and so,
do you remember the Rewind DVDs? You could buy them in Best Buy. If I showed you some of the clips from like 50 Cent and stuff that was on it, you'd be like, yeah, I definitely saw those.
Okay.
Yeah, there was the Rewind DVDs too. but they made it to Best Buy. Sometimes you could find the Smack DVDs in Best Buy too.
Yep. Yeah. Especially as Smack got bigger.
Yeah, the DVD era was crazy.
Yeah. And I still have a stack of the Loaded Lux battles and stuff.
Man, that's good. That's cool stuff to have.
On burned discs.
That's cool stuff to have for sure.
Yeah. And so, you know what I mean? I really wish I would have found out about Scribble Jam back then, because Scribble Jam in Ohio, jumping off like it was, I'd have totally been in on that. I thought I had the coolest bars in the world. Little did I know I had never been in a rap battle, but you know what I mean? I'm seeing glimpses of it and I'm thinking, I got this, I got this, I got this. You know what I mean?
I will say back then, had you got into it, though, you might have found out that you did. Because like anything else, it's just steel sharpens steel. So over time, if you have that kind of, you do start to adapt to that type of,
without a doubt.
You know. But it's also the hip hop lifestyle is cool too, like in the sense of like, because you're like a collaboration. You just kind of, like we talked about, you've brought a lot of people together, stuff like that. So sometimes battle rap, kind of competitive hip hop doesn't do that. Just being honest.
I was the dude that could still say some fuck shit and dap you up and hug you after.
No, I live it, but still, that doesn't mean everybody leaves feeling the same way when you are openly saying, I rap better than you, and I will show you in front of everyone here.
Yeah.
Because then it makes it kind of so that is a little different but it's also ciphers is another way to do it.
Exactly.
Ciphers and stuff are a way to get on a beat with somebody like Smooth G, legend, perfect example of like, I'll go back and forth with anybody on any song, on any beat, anywhere.
Well,
but
he's
not going to get on a stage and battle rap with no beat. That's not his thing.
Yeah.
But he'll go to bar for bar with anybody on the beats. And there is that as well. But sometimes battle rap is just not, it can just be not as loving.
It's a little more confrontational, a little more aggressive.
If that's your whole style is what I mean. Like,
sure.
Because I was like that. And it was like, man, I wish I'd have made some songs and met some people and filmed some stuff and did some cool shit, man, instead of telling everybody I was better than them my whole life. That rap was super competitive.
So my Sony camera broke a while back. Side note, my Sony camera broke a while back, but I found one on Facebook and went and rebought it. And so I have a camcorder. I'm going to transfer a lot of these DVC tapes back over to digital.
Man, that would be sick.
And bring back some of this footage that I filmed back in the day. And
that's what I mean. That would be sick. That would be sick. Because that's like what's the word I'm looking for? Like when something's in like in the anarchies of history or whatever. Archives. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's cool, man. That's cool.
I definitely have some archival footage. Like I said, of Dave Chappelle, of Mike Epps performing.
So what year is this about? Like you had this handy cam. Like what group of years you think?
So I had the cassette one and toted it around early. So I came out here in 01. So I'm 01, 02.
Yes, and then you had it. You probably because you didn't always probably carry it but for a few years, like did you kind of carry it everywhere you went?
I toted it forever.
That's sick.
And then I upgraded, and then I bought a Sony HDR SR11.
So you've always had a camera in your hand.
100%.
All right. So you mind if we take a break?
No, we're good.
And then we're going to come back to now you're getting comfortable behind the camera.
Yeah.
My guess is now you're putting some of that, I can rap better than everybody to I can create moments better than everybody. I can film better than everybody. I can put people, whatever you did, I'm guessing you always wanted to be the best at it. And, you probably applied some of those, that same type of fervor that you put in the rapping back then. You probably applied it to the work you started to pursue after this. So we're going to get right into that.
Okay.
For sure.
We're going to take a break. I'm going to take a leak real quick.
Well, yeah. And then honestly, because that was a half.